This is the 200K portfolio that we released in February. Here are the latest results. Still a good portfolio. Now this looks a little different than the Excel spreadsheet version because I've included all strategies back to 2007. Some of these were developed only for the last, say, 3 years. Cobra Euro 4 is an example of that strategy. Let's look at an overview of all the signals. Here are all the signals. Actually, there's an error on this because it doesn't include coffee, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this setup anyways. There was an error just running it, but we know the results of coffee. You can contact me for that information. And a lot of you don't trade coffee because you don't want to pay for ice, and so actually this is good so you can see what it looks like without coffee. And so you're talking about 200K portfolio, 15K drawdown in the past. When you include all strategies for the entire period back to 2007. We go back to 2007 because a lot of electronic markets were added in 2000 at the end of 2006, and so let's take a look, for example, at the overview of the signals. For example, Cobra Euro 4. Here it is. Actually, that's Cobra Euro 2. So let's look at Cobra Euro 4. That's the Euro currency strategy at 5 minutes. Now, we developed this for the last few years, and it's actually right up here near equity peaks. It took a little drawdown. It's up here near equity peaks from the time we developed it. Recently, going back 3 years, we said this is a modification of Cobra Euro 2, which you just saw. And in our portfolio, in our Excel spreadsheet, we only include the time period for which it was developed. Cobra Euro 2 stopped generating trades in this time period, and so we most recently came up with a more active version of Cobra Euro 2, called it Cobra Euro 4, and we kind of piece it together from the time period that Cobra Euro 2. Let's look at Cobra Euro 2 once again. Cobra Euro 2 is this strategy, really good strategy, low drawdown, but in recent years it just doesn't trade much. So let's take a look at the trades. And so if we look at the periodical analysis right down here and the annual period analysis here, since 2016, this is a good strategy. In the 2016, this is an example of a strategy that's not doing terrible. But what happened? It just stopped generating trades. 13 trades in 2017, 7 trades in 2018, 1 trade in 2019. So it's just not generating trades anymore. And so if you take a look at this strategy back to 2016, which is around this time period, and say, okay, it doesn't generate trades anymore, let's modify it and make Cobra Euro 4. And so Cobra Euro 4 comes in and takes over from this time period. Around this time period is the modification. And before, these more active rules don't work as well prior to that, but we've seen what they're doing, and right now Cobra Euro 4 is really doing well. I'll show you a chart of that here in a second. And so if we take a look at Cobra Euro 4, we piece this together. Cobra Euro 2 would maybe end here, and Cobra Euro 4 would start here, but they're both still included in the portfolio. In the Excel spreadsheet, I didn't include this data going back because theoretically you could replace Cobra Euro 2 and say start trading Cobra Euro 4 here and put it in one easy language file. But I didn't do that. I kept it as 2 separate strategies so we could track both and have complete transparency of what we're doing here. And so I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to show you a screenshot of the recent trades in Cobra Euro 4. So here's a screenshot of Cobra Euro 4. It's been on a big roll, including today. It's long here. And you see the trades went through a drawdown and didn't rally. This is similar to previous drawdowns. This is only going back a year, but we developed it for a 3-year time period. And so you see the latest results for Cobra Euro 4 and how this thing is on a streak. And so now let's go back and look at the other strategies. So here are all the strategies combined. If you take a look at each strategy, we're going to take a look at each strategy separately. And I want to give you some context with what we're doing. Here is the drawdown curve as well. And so let's take a look at the total trade analysis. this report includes $25 round turn slippage and commission. So we're at our target number is $50 before round turn slippage and commission. So we're really at $74 round turn slippage and commission. And so here is the annual period analysis. There's some degradation here, so we're going to have some modifications. And we talked about that in the webinar in February, how equity curves get more volatile, things change, but I found some things that I've seen new in the markets that I want to change, and I'm going to update you after we look at each individual performance. And so with this portfolio, it includes the current strategies plus the updates. If you subscribe, if you're a current subscriber, you get the updates. If you're a new subscriber, you get the strategies that we currently use as well as the updates. And so let's look at the equity curve analysis by individual market as well. So I love how multi-chart you can run the portfolio analysis tool and then come in here and look at the individual signals. Here is, when you click on these, you don't know when you look at this list which system is which, if it's the same symbol, but it will show you at the top here in the band. This is SR Counter Trend 2 E-mini S&P 5-minute, and you see where this equity curve is. These include $25 round turn slippage and commission. So we're combining a bunch of equity curves that have slippage and commission in them, and those equity curves are not always as straight as some of the ones that you see without slippage and commission. And so we look at both. I like to look at both equity curves without slippage and commission and with slippage and commission. Here is E-mini NASDAQ. It's hitting these worst case drawdown numbers, and we see that sometimes it hits worst case drawdowns and then bounces back. There was an extreme amount of short covering, pressing on short covering rallies, and we saw that drawdown. But we had a great end of 2018, beginning of 2019, but recently it's right here, and so I still like this strategy. Gold's been kind of flat, have some potential modifications for that. I'll show you in the next setup. Crude oil, silver, SR Counter Trend 2 in general has just kind of lagged a little bit. If I've tested SR Counter Trend 2, and if you hold some of these overnight, it's making equity peaks in some of these. So for example, we get in and then it just kind of goes sideways to down, and then overnight it rallies. And so there's a way to trade this overnight, but I also have a modification to trade the SR Counter Trend 2 and going forward in the new revisions that we're going to release at the mid-year point in July. Let's see, we are on silver. Let's look at platinum. Platinum is down. RBOB is doing okay. It's hanging in there. Natural gas down. Euro currency, SR Counter Trend 2 Euro currency down. Soybeans kind of flat. And so those are all the kind of laggers, the SR Counter Trends. And let's take a look at Cobra 3. E-mini S&P is down. It's more of a counter trend market. And so we're going to probably take out Cobra 3 E-mini S&P in the portfolio. I'm going to show you that next, the update. And we're going to trade Cobra 3 E-mini NASDAQ instead. And we're going to be more focused on counter trend strategies, the E-mini S&P, and trend strategies in the E-mini NASDAQ. And so this is Cobra 3 E-mini NASDAQ doing really well. Now this is the which one is this? Mirror. So this is Mirror E-mini S&P. It's down a little bit, but it's hanging in there near worst case drawdowns. And so let's see, Cobra Euro 2, nice equity curve, but it hasn't traded recently. Soybeans swing. It's been a sideways market for a while here, but it's starting to have some positive trades going forward. Soybeans, I like the potential volatility in that market now, based on the trade wars and where we've been. This is crude oil SR Counter Trend 4, hanging in there near the highs, and RBOB, a little bit of a pullback on SR Counter Trend 4. Gold, pullback on SR Counter Trend 4. Silver, kind of sideways. These SR Counter Trends have gone sideways, and the main reason why is the day trade time frame has been very short for a trend to mature. Just a few hours. The volatility hasn't been there in some of these commodities, but it's picking up again, and we see that in some recent price action. Here is this is Gap Fill Master, one of our favorite counter trend strategies. This is Tick Count Trend 2. Now this is one of my favorite strategies for this type of market, and this is what I'm talking about. Counter trend trade the E-mini S&P, trend trade the E-mini Nasdaq, and we're going to include the 5-minute version in the update as well. Gold, this is the short version. We're going to add the long version to this. It's gone through this drawdown right here, as gold has had a huge rally higher recently. Soybeans, day trader 3, you see it ticking up here. I anticipate more trends in soybeans. Coffee, the data didn't come in on this back test, and so here's Cobra Euro 2. It's doing really well for this time period. It's approaching new equity peaks from this time period for which it was designed, and we talked about that at the beginning of the video. And here is QS3, still one of our favorite strategies. It hasn't done much lately. The markets have been compressed, and so I have some updates though to take advantage of some of the changes in the market that we've seen in the last few months, and to take advantages of some of the lags that we've seen in SR Counter Trend 2. We're going to make one parameter change in that, and then I'm gonna stop this video here. I have to rerun this, put in the new strategies, and take a look at this. So overall, the performance summary, the equity curve has not done bad, but there's some things we can improve going into the second half of this. And so we had a tough May, but there's a nice bounce back recovery, complete recovery in June from the May's losses so far. And so we're gonna make some modifications, and I will have that next. I'm going to stop the video once again and add the new strategies, take out some of the old strategies, provide a complete list of modifications and why, and you'll know what the latest portfolio for the 200K is going forward from July.